say that you're with the Prime Minister, that you've got a great job, that you're there for the next, just run through this. So they gave him the 4 or 5 things, and he just stood there and he delivered it. It was very rote. So obviously something's going on.
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Things are heating up behind the scenes as Liberal cabinet ministers conspire to overthrow Justin Trudeau as leader of the Liberal Party.
Let's take a look. In an article published in the Globe and Mail on April 17th, the headline reads, Dominic LeBlanc wants his close friend Justin Trudeau's job.
Behind the scenes, the plot thickens in regards to the future leadership of the Liberal Party. We need only to consider what Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc, a very close friend of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, is up to. A former Liberal cabinet minister met with Mr. LeBlanc recently, and they discussed plans, I'm told, for Mr. LeBlanc to run to succeed Mr. Trudeau as party leader and become Prime Minister should he step down. Mr. LeBlanc was eager. Over whiskey and cigars, the New Brunswicker has always enjoyed a good stogie. The former minister agreed to be part of a ginger group to lay down the groundwork for a campaign. Along with several other prominent Liberals, Mr. LeBlanc has been rumored to be considering a run. It's clear now he's serious, and it's doubtful he would be making such plans if he didn't think there was a decent chance the PM's job might soon become open. Few know Mr. Trudeau better than Mr. LeBlanc, who was first elected in 2000. They've been pals since boyhood when Mr. LeBlanc's father, Romeo LeBlanc, was in Pierre Trudeau's cabinet, and he sometimes babysat Justin 4 years younger.
At the meeting, which also included Kevin Fram, a longtime LeBlanc supporter, the cabinet minister wanted assurance from Mr. LeBlanc that he was prepared to put in the arduous work involved in a leadership campaign. He got that commitment. They talked of a problem Mr. LeBlanc would have, the shrapnel he's been hit with for being so tightly associated with the Prime Minister and his policies. The cabinet minister advised him to prepare his own vision for the country and give party members a clear idea of why he wants to become Prime Minister. Mr. Trudeau insists he will run again, and many Liberals I talked to believe him. The PM hopes the many policy measures he has rolled out recently in tandem with Tuesday's budget will help improve his dismal standing in opinion polls. But if his numbers don't improve substantially in the next few months, the pressure for him to leave will sharpen. He's been party leader since 2013, when the Liberals weren't even the official opposition. He rescued the party from oblivion. By letting his ego get the best of him and staying on, he risks returning it to oblivion. Mr. LeBlanc is one of Trudeau's most experienced and competent ministers. He's witty, doesn't take himself too seriously, and has a kitchen table touch. The Maritimes are hardly a big political base, but as a francophone, he would have appeal in Quebec. While there are many potential contenders, there is no front-runner in a possible race to replace the Prime Minister. Besides Mr. LeBlanc, other possible entrants are former central banker Mark Carney, Innovation Minister François-Philippe Champagne, Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, Housing Minister Sean Fraser, Treasury Board boss Anita Anand, and of course, Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland. So this is coming from a very experienced political columnist for the Globe and Mail, and it was taken so seriously that other mainstream media outlets started to talk about this as if this was a real possibility. Here's Vashi Kapelos and her panel talking on this exact issue.
Dominic LeBlanc is responding to a column in the Globe and Mail that reported he's considering a run to replace Justin Trudeau as leader of the Liberal Party. It was a surprising report because LeBlanc is known as one of the Prime Minister's closest friends and allies, but it was also detailed in laying out that a meeting took place, a decision was taken at that meeting to start the groundwork for a bid to replace the Prime Minister. Today on Parliament Hill, CTV's Jordan Gowling asked the minister if the report was true.
Do you plan to run for Liberal leader?
No, I plan to be a candidate in the next election under Prime Minister Trudeau's leadership. I'm very happy. I'm excited about that. I'm focused on the responsibilities he gave me. It's a big job. I'm enjoying it, and I'm optimistic that our team and the Prime Minister will make the case to Canadians as to why we should be re-elected.
Have you been having discussions, though, about a potential run in the near future?
I've answered that.
Do you think the Prime Minister should resign?
So you are not organizing, sir, correct?
So that's the word, sort of, from Public Safety and Intergovernmental Affairs Minister Dominic LeBlanc. Has he thrown enough cold water on the story to assuage suspicions, or could a Liberal leadership challenge be in the works? Let's bring back the front bench to talk about that. Christy Clark, John Tory, and Tom Mulcair. On that question of whether he threw enough cold water, I'll just point out that the story came out last night. We certainly directly asked his office for a reply. None came until this exchange today. What do you read into any of that, Tom?
I read Lawrence Martin is one of the most credible people writing on the Hill and has been for many, many years. He would not put pen to paper unless he had something solid. I know him, and I know that to be the case. I also noticed that Dominic LeBlanc said, I've already answered that, but actually he hadn't answered that part of the question as to whether or not meetings had taken place. He arrived and he delivered. You know, anybody who's been in politics will tell you how this works. You're getting ready, you've got good staff, they're saying, okay, say that you're with the Prime Minister, that you've got a great job, that you're there for the next, just run through this. So they gave him the 4 or 5 things, and he just stood there and he delivered it. It was very rote. So obviously something's going on. Dominic LeBlanc is one of Trudeau's closest friends and strongest supporters, and he deserves that recognition. He's also the guy that they'll give anything to. He'll go in front of the cameras and he'll this guy's taken so many bullets for everybody over the years. When something goes south, he's the guy. He's got good hands, to use a sports expression. But at the same time, it hurt his credibility sometimes. I can't see him going for this. But the only condition I'd put on that is that maybe he would if he were there on an interim basis. In other words, he became the replacement for Trudeau during the leadership race on the condition that he not be one of the candidates. That would seem to me to be a possibility. But I don't see Dominic LeBlanc. He went through a really serious health issue not that long ago. Is he really going to put himself through the grind? And I can tell you it's a grind of trying to lead a national party. I don't see it, but we'll follow through. There was obviously something there. No. there's a little bit of smoke there. There's obviously a fire there somewhere, but we'll find out more details soon.
So, isn't it interesting that you have Nick Nanos saying that this looks like an election budget, and you have Trudeau and Freeland and the rest of them operating like it's the 12 days of Christmas leading up to the budget announcement, and now you have some Liberals talking behind the scenes of who's going to replace Trudeau. This sounds like something that's imminent.
I think if they were smart, though, they would let Trudeau take the fall for this election and then try to replace him after the damage is done.
Right, which makes me wonder, does this mean that an election may happen in the fall and the Liberals are getting ready for who's going to be replacing Trudeau, as he leaves? Because there's no way Trudeau is going to stick around and be lambasted by Pierre Poilievre in the House of Commons remaining as a member of Parliament. It's not going to happen.
Well, here's the thing. After Parliament is dissolved, or after non-confidence is called and then Parliament is subsequently dissolved, they've got, I believe it's 36 to 56 days to hold an election. So supposing that the budget gets dragged out until June and they vote on it in June, sometime in July or August, we're going to need to go to election. Now that's assuming that the Liberals go down with this budget. It's possible, though, as Cypher said, that it could drag out until the fall, and then that's when another non-confidence is held. Or even the Liberals in the fall could opt to remove, or I should say opt to dissolve Parliament on their own, because maybe the noose is getting just too tight around their necks regarding a Rive scam.
Well, and obviously there are people within the Liberal Party that are, really, really concerned about this. Let's go back to the article. So it reads here, many Liberals feel the party has to turn the page from the Trudeau era and its wokish leftish tilt. Mark Carney, a business Liberal, a man of international stature, is the one who fits that bill, but he has turned down opportunities to run for the party. No one has become Liberal leader without ever having held elected political office. So you hear people saying within the Liberal circles that we want to distance ourselves from Justin Trudeau. We want to distance ourselves and get away from this far left narrative that the Liberals have taken them down.
Because it's not working anymore. 8 or 9 years ago, it was working. So that's what they pandered to. They pandered to the young crowd. They had millennials and even some of the older Gen Z coming out to vote who had never voted before. And that's what got them elected. But it's not working anymore. Millennials are older now. We're not able to buy houses. We're not able to start families. We're stuck in dead-end jobs. I mean, we're often referred to as the lost generation because we're not hitting those milestones that generations previous to us had hit. And millennials are tired. We're sick of it. And you know what? Gen Z is following in our footsteps. So why would we continue to support this woke narrative? Now, you're always going to have people that are always going to support it, but by and large, woke is dying out.
Well, and if you've looked at any of the mainstream media, which I imagine most of you don't, we do because we have to, but what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of attacks on the Liberals as a result of this budget coming. So they're actually getting it from all sides. You're getting it from former Liberals, former Liberal finance ministers. You're getting it from mainstream media. You're getting it from small business owners. You're getting it from middle class Canadians that may have a cottage that, you know, if they sell it after this tax goes in, they're going to be paying that much more tax on the sale of that cottage for capital gains. This budget, it is so bad that everybody, literally everybody, is railing against it except the Liberals. So it's a possibility that this might take them down.
Well, and we discussed this last night with our interview with David Leese, where you're going to have over the next decade or so this huge generational wealth transfer from the baby boomer generation down to the millennial generation. As the baby boomer generation begins to pass away, they're going to be transferring their wealth onto their children and grandchildren. Now, if you've got this capital gains tax, what's going to happen there? Like Cypher had brought up the example of if you've got some huge multi-million-dollar family farm that's been in the family, you know, since the family came to Canada 7 generations ago, how are the young generation going to be able to afford the taxes just to inherit that property and continue their way of life?
Well, and the answer is they're going to have to start selling off swaths of that property. And then you're going to see over time those properties get smaller and smaller and smaller in order to actually pay for the taxes for them. So it seems that, you know, whether the intent is there or not, that argument can be made, but the effect of these new taxes is to siphon more and more wealth away from the middle class and the rich, if you want to, you know, talk about that, and not redistribute it, but it's to give it to the Liberal government. And it may just be this budget, along with all of the other scandals that are just now hitting the Liberal government right in the chest, that finally takes this government down. But one thing's for sure is that it looks like within the Liberal cabinet itself, the ministers do not intend to go down with this ship.